The ruling of the International Court of Justice on Friday is exactly the ruling that Guyana wanted. It went to the court to seek its protection because it feared that Venezuela was going to try to invade the Essequibo region and seize control over it. And it got the ruling it wanted. The court ruled that Venezuela should refrain from doing that. Remember, it was Venezuela in the late 1800s that sought to demarcate the boundary between Venezuela and Guyana, which was then British Guyana. An arbitration tribunal was set up, and that tribunal handed down its award on October 3, 1899, with the border of Guyana and Venezuela as it currently stands. In the early 1960s, Venezuela decided that it would reject the award, and a mechanism was set up to resolve the controversy. Decades of talks failed, and then the United Nations Secretary General decided to refer the matter to the International Court of Justice in The Hague for a full and final settlement. And so Guyana moved to file its claim. And so the case is with the International Court of Justice. No substantive ruling has been made, but Venezuela has planned a referendum for Sunday, in which it seeks the support of the Venezuelan people to annex, seize control of the Essequibo region and issue citizenship to its inhabitants. The court ruled that it should refrain from doing so. Of course, Venezuela has said that it does not respect the International Court of Justice. Vice President Dr Bharrat Jagdeo says that if Venezuela chooses to ignore the ruling of the court, then the country will take every means necessary to defend its territory.
If they do not respect that and they work or they act in contravention of the ruling of the court and have aggressive intent on our country, that all options are on the table for the defense of our country. We have so far robustly explored the legal route, and we have had success there. We have explored the diplomatic route, and we have had overwhelming success there, where the world supports us. And we are now exploring defense cooperation with several countries. And we're not a belligerent country, but if any country, and particularly Venezuela, thinks that they can alter the boundary established by the 1899 tribunal unilaterally, then we'd defend our country by any means whatsoever.
Venezuela is intent on carrying out its referendum on Sunday. Dr Jagdeo says that is little bother for the country, that Venezuela can go ahead with its referendum, but what it cannot do is invade Guyanese territory.
For them, it's an internal matter. It's a matter of pride for the Venezuelan leadership now. For them to back down at this stage will mean that they have suffered a defeat, and it may harm them politically, because they're contesting elections next year. And we thought that this referendum was one way of bolstering the chances at those elections for the ruling party. And therefore, for them, it's a matter of internal pride, so they may just forge ahead with their referendum. But the operative part of the ruling, the explicit unanimous ruling by the ICJ, is that they have to recognize the existing borders, and they cannot take any action to alter those borders. We cannot listen to the leadership in Venezuela. They've demonstrated over the past several months that they're very prone to rhetoric and aggression. And it's no surprise that they're going to sell this at home as a victory for Venezuela, that the referendum was not stopped explicitly by the court. The court made a very important ruling that Venezuela has to refrain from taking any action that will affect the territory given to Guyana by virtue of the 1899 award. That is all we wanted. We were fearful that they would have utilized the referendum to then justify aggressive actions against Guyana, possibly invade our territory. The court has made it clear they cannot do that. So this is a great ruling for Guyana. We're extremely pleased with it. The court made it clear that their decision is binding on the parties and on Venezuela. Venezuela can choose not to listen to the court, but fortified with that ruling and ultimately ruling on the substantive case, Guyana would reinforce the position it has globally, that where the world supports the current boundaries for Guyana. And so whether they accept it or not, the international community is what matters. And no country in the world would recognize any border other than the border that we currently have, or after the ruling of the ICJ, the border defined by that court.
Again, the International Court of Justice was very clear in its ruling. Guyana has governed and exercised sovereignty over the Essequibo region for 124 years, and Venezuela shall not do anything to change that unless the court in the future decides otherwise. Guyana is confident that the court will maintain the border between Guyana and Venezuela as it currently stands. Reporting for the newsroom, I'm Neil Marks.